Welcome to Farmer Ambassadors Online, a podcast series from Dairy Australia, featuring marketing experts, dairy farmers, industry advisors and thought leaders. Each episode is tailored to assist farmers when sharing their authentic story to build trusted relationships within the community.
Hello, I'm Jess Phillips, Marketing Engagement Lead at Dairy Australia, and today I'm joined by Kristina, Gorgievska, dietitian and health communications advisor at Dairy Australia. Welcome, Kristina.
Thanks again for having me.
In this episode, we're diving into dairy versus plant-based alternatives. So, Kristina, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Plant-based. It's such a buzzword now. What qualifies anything as a dairy alternative?
Well, plant-based is a buzzword now, I guess, and it is a trend, but I just want to assure anyone who's listening that I guess it's just that, just a trend, and overwhelmingly the data shows that Australians are still consuming dairy and are actually consuming a lot of dairy in comparison to plant-based. So I'll just start off by saying that. But what qualifies something as a dairy alternative? Plant-based beverages need to have additional calcium added in to be considered a dairy alternative by the Australian Dietary Guidelines. So in order to be considered a dairy alternative, they need to be fortified with at least 100 milligrams of calcium per 100 mils. But remember that milk and dairy foods, they provide much more than calcium, and plant-based beverages do tend to be lower in other vitamins and minerals that milk naturally provides.
So it's not a fair swap unless they're fortified.
Not a fair swap unless they're fortified, according to the Australian Dietary Guidelines. But if we zoom out and compare the whole nutrient profile, still not a fair swap.
Can you explain how these products compare to dairy nutritionally?
Absolutely. So plant-based beverages, they do try to mimic the nutritional qualities as well as the taste and the performance of milk, but they do contain a different package of vitamins and minerals, which are often added in through a process called fortification, and it's often in smaller quantities than what's naturally found in milk. In terms of health and nutrition, they're very different to milk, which naturally contains more than 10 essential nutrients, including things like high-quality protein, calcium, B vitamins, and other minerals like iodine and magnesium.
Great. Can you explain to us what nutrients are missing in most plant-based drinks?
Absolutely. So aside from soy, other plant-based beverages tend not to be a good source of protein. Most plant-based drinks are also lacking in things like vitamin B12 and zinc unless it's added in. It's important to note also that when people have plant-based beverages, they're consuming a highly processed food product with a really long ingredient list. So milk is a whole food. Its only ingredient is milk. It's minimally processed and all of its nutrients occur naturally and in their most bioavailable form, which means our bodies can easily absorb and use the nutrients found in milk.
Perfect. And can you explain the importance of whole food versus fortified products?
Yeah, so while fortified foods can play a role in improving health, especially in addressing specific nutrient deficiencies, whole foods, that's foods that are in their most natural state and have been minimally processed, like milk, they remain the foundation of a healthy diet. So they offer a naturally balanced nutrient profile and additional health-promoting compounds that fortified foods often lack.
And what does the research say, or not say, about plant-based beverages?
So the difference between dairy and plant-based obviously isn't just limited to the difference in the nutrients that they offer. When we look at the research and long-term health effects, there's really a wealth of evidence for dairy with decades worth of research showing it's associated with a reduced risk of developing chronic disease, like I've mentioned before, things like heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and some cancers. And we just don't have the same data about plant-based beverages, partly because they haven't been around for as long. So we don't understand the long-term health effects just yet. The exception to this is soy. So there is some evidence to suggest it's good for heart health and can help women in perimenopause manage their symptoms, particularly hot flashes. However, we still need more data on beverages like rice, oat, and almond drinks before we can say anything definitive about their long-term health effects.
And how do farmers have respectful and effective conversations about plant-based alternatives?
Yeah, this one can be a bit tricky. Obviously, we're all extremely passionate and tend to be more knowledgeable in this area than some of the naysayers. So I completely understand the frustration. As a dietitian myself, I often find myself in conversations where I have to tread very carefully. But I've got 3 tips to offer here. So number 1 being listen and validate. So if we come out swinging, we risk getting people offside. So we definitely don't want to do that. And another added benefit is when we just listen to others and what they have to say, we often give them the space to give us enough information to figure out exactly what their dairy concerns are. And that helps us find new ways to engage with them that resonate better. Another tip I'll offer is sharing resources, either by passing on verbally what you've learned from this episode if you feel comfortable, or you can always refer to the Australian Dairy website, dairy.com.au. That's got all the information there that we talk about today on health and nutrition, different health topics, nutrient profile of milk, cheese and yogurt. So that's always a handy tool to have in the toolkit. And respecting dietary choices as well. At the end of the day, we're not going to get everyone on side, and that's totally okay. We just have to accept that people have different opinions to us at the end of the day, and all we can do is inform and educate and send people on their merry way.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kristina. And I think that's cleared a lot up, and you've provided some really helpful tips there. So thank you. I guess the key takeaway here is that we can feel confident in the powerful and unparalleled combination of nutrients within milk, and really just heroing and highlighting that rather than tearing down and bad-mouthing the alternatives out there. It's just about being calm with the credible information that we have.
Absolutely. We've got a great story to tell with dairy, and if we just focus on promoting the health benefits of the dairy food group rather than tearing down other foods, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, awesome. If you'd like any other information, head over to dairy.com.au, as Kristina said, or dairy.com.au/Yawa, our You Ask, We Answer platform, as a go-to. Or, again, feel free to reach out to me for anything more specific at jess.phillips@dairyaustralia.com.au.
Thank you for joining Farmer Ambassadors Online. We hope you found this episode valuable when promoting Australian dairy. Check out the episode notes for more information, or to get in touch, visit dairyaustralia.com.au. Until next time, take care.